Most real estate investors have no idea the moment they close, the investor has secretly locked away that equity for the next 6 months minimum. On today's episode, you'll learn how to access cash from a property that you've rehabbed in less than 6 months in order to access the cash so you can roll it in the next one and further build your real estate portfolio. Let's get into it. So I recently had a client where he was able to locate a property for $100,000, put $50,000 into it, and now the property is worth $300,000, and he wants to access that cash in order to roll it into the next property, recoup his principal investment, and continue on the BRRRR method. The challenge is most investors, even in the non-QM space, will not allow you to access cash from the property using the now current fair market value of the home unless you've owned it for at least 6 months. Good news is we work with plenty of investors where as little as no to 3 months, you can use the current fair market value in order to cash out the property up to 75% of the value, and in some instances, all the way up to 80% value, and cash out that equity so you can further build your real estate portfolio. So what does seasoning requirements mean? When you purchase a property, whatever that purchase price is the value that the investor ties to that asset, regardless if you fix the home up and it's now worth more money, if you're trying to access equity from the home, if you've closed on the property in 6 months or less. Normal instances, you'd only be able to do a rate and term loan, meaning that you could pay off that hard money loan that you used in order to secure the property, or maybe you did a rehab loan with the hard money, meaning that 100% of that rehab work was covered within the financing, so that way you could put as little as cash out as possible for the down payment only and maybe your closing costs, and the rest was financed through that hard money loan. But now you have to pay that hard money loan off, which is typically up to a 12-month term. And more importantly, you want to get out of those higher interest rates and into a long-term loan like a standard 30-year fixed, utilizing the DSCR loan product, or if you went full documentation. The challenge is if you're trying to recoup that principal investment, in addition to paying off the hard money loan, it's very difficult to access that cash if you haven't owned that property for 6 months. The good news is we work with numerous investors where you can access the cash up to 75% loan to value, and in some instances up to 80% of the new loan to value in order to access that cash and still go into a 30-year fixed program where you can maximize the positive cash flow on this new property that you just put into your portfolio, and then rinse and repeat and start it all over again. This is typically referred to as the BRRRR method. You buy, renovate, refinance, rent, and repeat. The challenge is if you go into that 30-year fix before taking cash out, you're going to have to refinance that property again or do a second mortgage in order to access the funds in that property that now is worth more money than what you paid for it before you can roll it into the next property. There are a few nuances with utilizing the no seasoning requirements for cash out transactions. Number one being the loan to value is typically maxed at 75% of what the current appraised value is. Number two, oftentimes you have to show the work that you've done on the property. So they are going to do a new full appraisal, which will show the work that you have completed on the property. But sometimes the investor will ask for receipts or invoices from the contractor or trades on the work that you actually done on the home to justify what that new value is versus what you paid for it. Number three, sometimes the investors do have a reserve requirement, but more often than not, it is currently just tied to what the fair market value of the property is that you're looking to take cash out and go into that next long-term loan financing. So if your intention is to purchase a property and rehab it in order to create more value and then turn it into a long-term rental, it's very important that you talk to your lender first to strategize what the long-term game plan is, and more importantly, what your exit looks like if you're utilizing hard money financing in order to pay that loan off and then take cash out to recoup your initial principal investment, so that way you can confidently know how much cash you're going to have access to to roll into the next property for future investments to come. So fortunately, my client did reach out in advance before purchasing this property, and we were able to structure what the after renovation value would look like and pencil out the numbers before he even started construction on the property to ensure that we had a good baseline of how much access to cash we were able to get. So not only were we able to give him back his initial principal investment from the original purchase, but we were able to access additional cash above and beyond that, still get him a great 30-year fixed rate, fully amortized, where the property now positive cash flows. It's worth more value than when he started, but now he has more money in his pocket than he originally started with, so he can go after a slightly larger property on his next one and do it all over again. So just know that there is light at the end of the tunnel if you are looking to access cash and you don't meet those traditional seasoning requirements. I'd love the opportunity to connect with you and help you pencil out your next deal. And for additional tips and resources, head over to scimortgage.com where you can get in touch with us, in addition to utilizing some of the great calculators we have available to you. And until then, let your income work smarter, not harder for you. We'll see you on the next one.